What is up, YouTube? This is Ebon34, and I am here a little late, but still here with your Forgotten Fridays. And to make up for it, I have a very forgotten card indeed, and that is Victini EX. This card is so forgotten it's not even funny, because it is such an amazingly good card. The 110 HP is a little lackluster, but for 1 fire energy, you can get any 2 basic energy you want from your deck and attach them to your benched Pokemon in any way you like. I mean, think about it for a second. That's what Victini EX does, more or less, except it can get any type of energy, not just grass, and it can put it on your Pokemon in any way you want. 2 on 1 Pokemon, or on 2 separate, or 1 each on 2 separate Pokemon, however you please. All for half the cost. That's pretty gosh darn good. Sure, Virizion has its ability, but Victini can also take one-hit KOs with its intensifying burn, depending on the target. Anything fire vulnerable, and that 50 plus 50, assuming it's an EX, like Virizion, Genesect, pretty much any EX that's a fire or that's a metal type, it's going to deal 50 plus 50, and then their weakness for 200 for an instant KO. Okay, 3 energy doesn't look that attractive for that kind of an attack necessarily, but when you consider that this Pokemon has its own unique A-Spec that actually allows it to attack for no energy, it gets even better, meaning that for no energy you can one-shot EXs, potentially. Or 2-shot at the very least, since Intensifying Burn is still 100 base. And to get even better than that, when you are attacking for free, that means your energy attached for the turn can go to one of your benched Pokemon. So, we're going to take Victini as far as we can, combining him with some of the less forgotten cards to create a really potent deck that can essentially face the meta with the meta and just use Victini as the edge for it. So, when I was thinking about things that want to get energies, one of the first things I thought of was Victini EX. This guy's Evil Ball loves to get extra energies, and his partner in crime loves to be able to attach energy in all kinds of different ways, because his partner in crime is Darkrai EX. With Victini's ability to just attach basic energies as you like, that basically means that you can have Victini EX not only power things up for their attacks, but also give things free retreats thanks to Darkrai. So it's just that much better. And Darkrai's 3 energy attack might seem a little lackluster in the early game, but considering you can get him within 1 energy of being able to fully attack with his Night Spear in a single turn thanks to Victini, Darkrai's attack all of a sudden doesn't look so expensive at all. Now, to help support these guys, we're also running 3 copies of Yveltal. We're going to go through our energy kind of quickly, and Yveltal EX in this deck, we're going to pile the energies on to try to take those aggressive KOs. It's a little risky, but thanks to Yveltal, regular Yveltal here in his Oblivion Wing, we have ways to recover. And we also have another Mon in this deck who might not be what you expect, but who fits this team and their love of double colorless energy and energy acceleration very well. And that's Seismitoad EX. We're opting for 3 copies of him. Let's face it, virtually everything in this deck, with the exception of Darkrai, loves double colorless energy. And so, this guy is a natural fit. We're not going to be opting for his Grenade Hammer, and that's okay, because mostly what this guy's here for is to come out and thump people with Quaking Punch. He's going to spread damage early, take some KOs, and when they finally take him down, Yveltal EX is going to come in for the finish. Or, similarly, Yveltal can beat things down severely, and if it gets revenge killed, Seismitoad can go lock up the game for you and help you regain control. So whether it's early, mid, or late game, Seismitoad EX is a very good fit in this deck. And of course, his 3 energy retreat doesn't matter with the Dark Energy on him and Darkrai on the bench to support. So we've got a pretty impressive lineup of Pokemon, most of whom we really don't mind if we start with them in the active slot for the most part. So now we're talking about support. We're going to be running 4 copies of Professor Juniper. And because a lot of our prize taking may not go on too very early, we got no reason not to run N. Once we start going on our killing sprees with Yveltal EX, that's fine. But that's probably going to come after we let Victini EX get knocked out, in which case our opponent will have 4 or less prizes in most games by the time we're going for knockouts ourselves. So N will never hurt that badly from either player. So running 4 is kind of natural support right here. We're running 3 copies of Skyla because we really do want to get access to things like Victory Piece and Ultra Ball early on to help maintain our setup. And there are lots of other good Skyla targets we'll be getting to in a second. We don't mind filling up our bench in this deck, so Colress is an obvious choice. And of course lots of other decks do that too, so he's just great. And of course with Versus Seeker hanging around, it's hard not to include Colress. We're also running 2 Lysander, because Yveltal EX loves the ability to call up things that may have taken minor hits earlier in the game and finish the job. And of course, any EX with lower HP, like say Jirachi EX, is a very easy target to take 2 prizes. So Lysander is definitely something we want to emphasize a little bit more. Victory Piece, as if we hadn't talked about it enough, is in the deck, and of course it only works for Victini EX, but it's just so very good for him. And in some matchups, it can easily be the difference between winning and losing all by itself, just for the amount of speed it allows us to take. Basically, any grass or metal deck is going to have a lot of problems with this very card. So, it's an obvious inclusion. It's one of Victini EX's greatest strengths. We're running 3 copies of Ultra Ball. This helps us make sure that Victini EX has things to power up, and also that we have access to Darkrai. And of course, late in the game, we can also get extra copies of the EX that suits us for the job, or get regular Yveltal so that our Oblivion Wing keeps our energy going. We're running 2 Professor's Letter because we are running two types of basic energy in this deck, and we really want to make sure we have energy early. So this is just a very good inclusion to get the energy going, make sure everyone has what they need to get the job done. It also, of course, can mean free retreats by getting dark energies with Darkrai. We're also running 4 Muscle Bands. We're going to play them aggressively because we have 4, and also because when we play them quickly and easily, it blocks things like Headringer pretty effectively, because Headringer is not good news for us. This effectively blocks it, and most of our Pokemon like to deal the extra damage. Victini EX probably doesn't, but he's probably about the only one who doesn't profit from this card in some way, and that's okay, because he wants his Victory Piece, not a Muscle Band anyway. So, that's fine. We're running 3 Versus Seekers, because after all, we want to make sure we keep the cards going, and also this gives us access to things like Lysander and Colress in the mid to late game when they can be very powerful. And this is just to make sure that every turn we've got kind of the optimal play. Now, speaking of Skyla, earlier we have 1 energy switch. This can be very good for Yveltal EX and Darkrai, so that we can retreat and switch around and things like that there, so it's a very useful card for us. And speaking of keeping our energy going, when regular Yveltal isn't around or isn't enough, we also have 1 copy of Energy Retrieval, just to make sure that things get done. And in case we just need to get the heck out of dodge, or get around a pesky opponent's Pokemon or something like that, we do run 1 Escape Rope as a Skyla target for that very reason. And our stadium is going to be 3 copies of Shadow Circle. This covers any Pokemon with a Darkness energy on it, not just Dark Pokemon. So this can protect all of our Mons, especially Pokemon like Seismitoad, who do not like having their weakness exploited. And of course, it overrides pesky stadiums like Fighting Stadium, for example, and keeps them from being problematic for us. Now our energy count, our basic energy count, is pretty important. We have 3 Fire Energy, as after all, the only one who really needs it is Victini EX. Between this, 2 Professor's Letters, 3 Skylas, and the Victory Piece, we actually have a pretty good chance of making sure that our first turn Victini EX has the energy he needs to attack. And like I say, that's pretty important, as after all, he is kind of the linchpin of this deck. We're also running 6 Darkness Energy. Yveltal, regular Yveltal, and our Energy Retrieval and Victini help us keep it to where this is all we really need. After all, most of our Pokemon who really matter don't technically need a Dark Energy at all, or if they do, like Yveltal EX, they only really need 1. The only Pokemon who needs more than 1 energy that has to be a Darkness is Darkrai EX, and he's not necessarily our first string attacker, he's more of a support Pokemon. And last but not least, we are also running 4 double colorless energy, as obviously Seismitoad EX and Yveltal EX both really appreciate this, and Victini EX can also use this to get a turn 2 Intensifying Burn when Victory Piece is scarce. So, there you go. We have our Forgotten Fridays Victini EX deck. And until next time, check me out on Twitter to keep up with video updates, uploads, occasional notices that decks might be running a little late because of personal problems that you don't really care about, and just about anything else. Check me out on Twitter. Link will be below in the description. Hit that like button, feel free to comment, and until next time, check out my channel for more Pokemon content.